Hi, Chi. Chi.
Morning, morning.
Hi, Chi. The PLO just told me now that there's an apology from the minister, who's attending the portfolio committee meeting, but the
Morning,
deputy
morning.
minister will be here.
No, not a problem. I knew because they are stretched. We have got two committees today. It's understandable. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. No problem. As long as the DG is here and the DM.
Okay.
All right. Good morning, honorable members.
Morning, Chairperson.
How are you, mom baby?
I'm getting there. I'm soldiering on.
Yeah, I can see. Arnold,
Morning, Chairperson.
how are
Just
you?
soldier on.
I'm good. I'm good. Yourself?
No, I'm fine. I know today yourself and Honorable Nana, you won't be running to the debate. You have debated yesterday, so
I'm done. I'm done, Chairperson.
there is no running away today.
Yeah.
Honorable Nana.
But it helped me because he forget to say what morning.
Morning, Honorable Mudise. How are you?
I'm good, Cheche. I'm good. I'm saying Arnold was forgetting to say, I want land without appropriating. This land, we're going to grab land. Because he was going to debate. He was so
It's
smart.
coming. It's coming. It's coming. It's coming, Chairperson. It's coming. It's coming.
No, you're very serious.
Now I want to visit. That municipality that Honorable Nana is speaking about. This year I must go and see that municipality.
Which one is that municipality?
In the Eastern Cape. He said every time.
Which one is that anyway?
I want him to confirm it.
No,
he
man,
must take
I
me
want
there.
to. Honorable Nana, I just want. I'm interested on the issue of the 1 million. What? But we'll talk it.
I just want to go and visit that municipality.
The salary from 1.6 to something. I am interested on it.
To 2 million. Oh,
2 million. Yeah.
Hi.
Now we're gonna be starting at exactly at 10 o'clock, members.
Okay.
That's 5 minutes too. Thank you very much.
Mom, baby, how are you, Sam?
Okay, Sam, and how are you, my darling?
I am coping now. You can see me. I'm fresh.
I am a soldier, honestly. Whilst you were sick, you were in the chamber. I was called, connect.
No, but in the chamber, let me tell you something. Because I was sick, I was told, come. I said, no, I'm still on medical treatment. They said, no, but it will be bad if there is no one from the province. Just come. I arrived at Cape Town around 4 o'clock this day, same day.
Sure.
Panicking, sweating.
Oh gosh.
Ooh.
Hey, when I saw you, I said, "Who's Coco, really?" You were sick, but now you're really so.
I drink a lot of water. I think that day I overdosed because I said, please, God help me. And Honorable Lute came to me. When he looked at me, I said, you are still in. What's wrong? I explained what's wrong.
Malibongwe.
Mama.
The guy Chepesini.
Re hona mme wa Cape Town. Ke a lo bona ka
wa ke bona ntate Mathibe ke Women's League le yana ka jeno.
Hey. O tla re motho wa modimo re mo kentse mo gare.
What can I do? I must just join the Women's League.
You should. I made sure that I give you the card, Women's League card.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
And flowers.
Kibona wena nje umuhle kanje.
Hey.
Umuhle.
Mme wa Cape Town.
Oh, i-Cape Town ithetha
ngomoya. Ubhuti wami unjani?
Usengcono makusafani Sithando. Usingcono amandla kuphela ngeka be right, but he's getting there, guys.
Kancane Angajahi.
Nami ngishilo ngithe mina you must take it easy ngoba lento iba on and off. Uyabona isweat.
Yeah.
Usweat kuze kube yilo nkathi ngibona ukuthi hey Nkosi yami kunzima, but no, he's getting there because you respond to treatment.
But I asked myself because it was not the COVID, it was something else. But I was sweating, Mambibi. I was sweating.
Is it? Yeah, it's like
I
that.
was sweating. And he had it getting. Ilikanda. Oh,
Hey.
yo.
Yeah, they always say that many symptoms are you.
But
Although, yeah, Naiko right, but it's part of the symptoms.
and when I get there and I tested, then they said no, it's not. Maybe it's the medication that you are taking.
Yeah, could be. Could be, sis. Hey, hi, my daughter. Sikulile ne?
Hi, Sikulile, Mama.
Hayi,
2020.
bathi ungapheli uyasola kuzondlula.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kuzondlula, yeah. Iproblem ukuthi ke mina ke once kube 5:30, I must take ilokhuzana injection abangeze yona. Lapho ngivele ngidakwe one way.
Yo.
Where we khawulungise le meeting yakho yama Mondays yasebusuku iyangibulala mina.
Iyasibulala kwamina angikhoni.
Lama questions ngabe ngiwabuze lapha ku study group. But ngathola ukuthi bayasiniki nama document.
Nanso ke inkinga, how are you going to impose questions without any documents? Yeah, because I did request ukuthi if they give ilokhuzana EPC members ama documents, they must also give NSOP members documents.
Ayike kodwa lo whip lo wangale NA uyasibulala ngifuna ukutshela mama. Ukukhumbula ukuthi Monday suke sibhizi nge-ANC.
Honorable members, is 1 minute too. Sorry, honorable members.
Yeah, Baba. Yeah,
Chairperson.
The meeting of the Women's League must close now.
Thanks,
Thanks, the Women's League is closing the meeting.
Sorry, Chairperson, wrong platform.
The Women's League must stop. Thank you very much, honorable members, and greetings to all the honorable members present here. The department, I see the DG is also here. I saw is part of our meeting. The DM is also joining now. It's 10 o'clock today. Like yesterday, we're going to have a debate in the afternoon, the resumption of the debate. So I just felt we needed to start as early as possible so that we can finish a bit early and prepare ourselves for the debate for the SONA. Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all the honorable members present here, and also welcome the department. As of now, I see the DM together with the DG and the team from public enterprise. You are all welcomed. We have called this meeting to deal with the issues of DENEL as indicated in the program. And we hope the department together with the people from DENEL are ready to give the report to the select committee. And then the select committee will engage with the report. Item 2 is the apologies. I'll request the acting secretary of the committee to give us the apologies that are there from members as well as from the department. Acting secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, members. Chair, the only apology that we received was from the Minister who's attending the Portfolio Committee on Public Enterprises meeting. Other than that, we didn't receive any other apologies from members.
I'm sure Honorable Arnold, I don't know as whether Honorable Mkause is, because we have been having a standing apology from her until we are sure she's fine. Honorable Arnold? We can't hear you. Your mic is not fine.
Can you hear me now, Chairperson?
We can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. I say good morning and greetings to all the members and then also to the officials. Member Makosi is still not going to attend the meetings due to ill health. So apology again, Chairperson.
Okay, thank you very much. Unless there is any other apology from members, I think there is none. Thank you very much. We are going to request the DM to lead the discussions. We are handing over to you, DM, to start the discussion. You will direct in terms of who is supposed to be speaking after you have given us the overview, and then you'll hand over back to us when you are done. Thank you very much. And
thank you very much, Honorable Chair, and greetings to the Honorable Committee members, the Director General, as well as the Acting Group Chief Executive, Talib. Chair, there has been made available to the Honorable Committee a presentation. I'm hoping that that presentation is available to be flighted, where I was going to ask, with your permission, Honorable Chair, that the Acting Group Chief Executive takes us through that. I am hoping that there would be among the attendees to the meeting representatives of the board. Talib may indicate that who is here on the part of the board. On the side, Chair of the department, may I say that over the recent past, the entity DENEL has been experiencing very tough conditions relating to cash flows. The squeeze that is experienced by nearly all the state-owned companies, government departments, has had a very heavy bearing on DENEL. The Department of Defense, honorable members would have observed, over a significant period of time has had declining budgets, which with a concomitant impact on DENEL and the rest of the defense industry in the country. We have also experienced a situation where DENEL, in terms of its contracted pipeline of projects to which they were looking into, were heavily concentrated in one region, in the Middle Eastern region, which is fraught with challenges, strife, that also has impacted in terms of geopolitics. The ability to continue serving that region with arms from our own country has really been negatively affected, given the choices that we have made as a country to who we can trade, as an example. So this has really had a cumulative effect, including the impact of COVID on DENEL, to a point that there has been experienced difficulties with the honoring of salaries to employees, a matter that has been to court several times. We are working with the entity to overcome these difficulties, but I must say that it's a highly challenged environment. Without much ado, Chair, I'm hoping that the presentation, the relevant person would have flighted it already. Sadiq could then, with your permission, talk to those matters in detail. That is the presentation. I'll rest it there. The DG and the team from Public Enterprises is here. Where it's time for discussions, we will be able to come in and shed further light where there is a need for that. Thank you very much, Chair. Can I hand over to Sadiq with your permission?
Okay.
Good morning, Chairman of the committee, honorable members. My name is Talib Sadiq and I'm the acting group CEO at DENEL. I am joined by members of management, and we have our group CFO, who's a member of the executive director on the board. I would also like to recognize our deputy minister and our director general and various colleagues from the Department of Public Enterprises. Chair, as the minister pointed out, we have shared a presentation. If we can maybe see that on the screen, failing which, if I could be made a host and then we could share the screen.
Chief, I can say that Mr. Sadiq has already been made a co-host, so he has got permissions to share the screen. Hello?
Could I just confirm, Chair, that this is...
We can see. It's there.
Thank you very much, Chair. So the topic for this morning's discussion is to talk about the financial and legal challenges regarding the court order to pay the outstanding salaries to employees. The National Defence Industry Council, INDIC, did identify the liquidity challenges facing DENEL as having an adverse impact on South Africa's national security. There was also the Aerospace and Defence Master Plan that was commissioned by the Office of the President, where they spoke about the technology that exists in the defence and aerospace industry. And without this technology, we will in fact become a technology taker and we will be vulnerable to sovereign pressure. And ultimately concluding that we will be less able to protect ourselves. And then on top of this slide, we've had the Department of Defense stating that with the challenges of DENEL, that one cannot afford to lose the skills that vest at DENEL because it is very important for the SANDF in their activities. The capabilities that DENEL has is across 6 different areas, and we have 5 divisions within DENEL that are involved in the provision of these capabilities. It's our artillery, security and border control, naval, aerospace, infantry, and also provision of training and other services. All of these capabilities, committee, were established with the strong support from our Department of Defense. And what we have been doing is over time is to try and commercialize these capabilities both locally and internationally. On a normalized basis, DENEL will have about normally 4,000 employees. With all of the challenges and the high staff turnover and the restructuring which we are yet to do, our staff complement right now is under 3,000. But on a normalized basis, at the current norm, we would be at about 4,000. And we do state that we have a multiply effect in the economy of about 4 times from a jobs creation point of view. And the South African defense industry in 2018 exported goods. This is in terms of the National Controls, Armament Controls Committee, exported goods of over 4 billion rand to 66 countries. So in terms of the state of our business, so there's to look at the bottom quadrant, dealing with organization. DENEL is a high-tech design and development business. We do have a high skills turnover currently due to our operating challenges. Poor program execution and low levels of productivity, it's a point that I will expand on later on as well, has been a major cause for our where we are right now. Our divisions are in a dire financial position. We do have a weak balance sheet, and restructuring is required in the organization in order for us to be repositioned to reclaim our position as a trusted and reliable supplier of products and systems and be globally competitive. From a financial position point of view, DENEL is structurally and operationally inefficient, and we are currently putting together reforms to address revenue generation, program management, to look at our cash management and cost reduction. The importance of meeting contractual performance, very key for us, our management of working capital. Our suppliers right now are demanding upfront payments from ourselves, and we do have a challenge in terms of raising bonds and guarantees from our banks, which is then causing us not to be able to conclude orders that we need to in order to keep our business going. From a stakeholder point of view, as pointed out by the Deputy Minister earlier on, the declining local defense budget is having a significant impact on DENEL. The need for an alignment with the strategic direction of DENEL. We are engaging with a number of state agencies around the past governance breakdowns, including state capture. We do have a weakened relationship with our customers, both locally and internationally. And the salary dispute, which you have asked us to speak about with Solidarity and UASA, they represent about 32% of our employees. They've instituted court action, and we've also had a Fitch rating downgrade due to the poor financial position of DENEL and also the limited sovereign commitments. From a strategic perspective, I did touch on this earlier on. We do play a key role, not only to our SANDF and Department of Defense, but also to the South African defense industry. Our economic spin-offs to the broader South African economy in terms of generating forex revenue with our export business, in terms of skills development and job multiplier. We are a key supplier to the security cluster. We have, with the challenges we are in right now, we are in the process of developing our DENEL Next strategy. And this talks about repositioning or expanding DENEL's offering to not only meet the defense requirements of South Africa, but there are a number of other new requirements that are emerging that needs high-class technology. When one looks at the technology trends that are happening, like virtual reality, renewable energy that's going through a transformative, the energy sector is going through a transformative process, and so is the motor car industry sector, amongst others. So we would like to, we are saying, how do we reposition or expand DENEL's offering to meet these new requirements? So we've established 8 work streams, and we would be going through with our board and taking our shareholder along. We have introduced transitionary values to help us during the execution of DENEL Next, and also during this tough economic climate we find ourselves in. Sustainable industrialization through strategic equity partnerships and public-private partnerships is an area of focus for us. So our severe funding challenges, DENEL does remain in a deep-rooted liquidity crisis. As we did state, DENEL, we were downgraded to Fitch, and this is because of the poor performance of our company and then the consequent delayed support from our shareholder. We are experiencing a reducing order backlog and our pipeline. Our local defense budget is shrinking, and the geopolitical landscape is transforming. The treaties we've spoken, our deputy minister did make the point about Middle Eastern market being quite important for DENEL, and the changes that are happening there at a geopolitical level is having an effect on us. Our balance sheet reflects a material short-term debt of 3.2 billion rand, and all of it is less than 12 months. So our debt profile has worsened. National Treasury, with the support of our shareholder, did waive the conditions relating to the balance of the recap of 271 million rand, which we received in November. And after 271, we were able to deploy about 170 million rand to restart the operations, which was a condition of the guarantee. We are making quite slow progress in selling non-core and exiting loss-making businesses. We've managed to exit some of them, but there are others that we still have. And in terms of the challenges we are having, our clients have asked us to ring-fence the funds into their particular projects, and without restructuring, this does, we haven't been able to efficiently allocate our resources. What we have seen is that there has been an underfunding of projects that we currently own at DENEL that has a strategic national importance. In terms of our financial position, up to the end of March 2020, we posted an annual loss of about 1.9 billion rand. And this is attributable to program management, poor program management, as well as the liquidity challenges. Our equity position has shown to you on the lower graph. It has reduced to, we are at a negative equity position of about 2.3 billion. The graph on the top shows you in blue our drop in revenue. In 2016, our revenue was about 8.5 billion rand. And in 2020, our revenue has come down to about 2.4 billion rand. So there's some of the key ratios that I wish to highlight. From the revenue side, on the top table on the right, you will see revenue, the point I made, dropped from 8.3 billion in 2016 to 2.4 billion in 2020. The interesting thing is to look at our employee cost. Although we've had a significant drop in revenue by about 71%, our employee cost has more or less remained the same. And you will see that on the graph to the right, and that's shown to you in the mustard color, where you see the employee costs almost remaining flat, whilst we've had the line in the blue, which is our revenue, dropping quite significantly. The sovereign and strategic capabilities that we have been funding off our balance sheet, and that has caused a significant weakness to our financial position, because we have been funding these facilities, and we've had engagements with the Department of Defense to state that over the past year, we've been funding about 683 million rand worth of sovereign and defense, sovereign and strategic capabilities. And of importance, you look at our DENEL Dynamics division, which is the business that's going through a lot of pain right now. We have funded that to the tune of over 400 million rand. So the financial support we've received from government, we showed this to you on this table. What you would see in blue for the 2020 financial year and 2021, we've received about 2.4 billion rand in two tranches. One was 1.8 billion and the other was 576 million rand. And prior to that, we've received funding in order for the contract that we're busy executing on behalf of Airbus. And so this shows you the financial support. And as you can see, Chair, it hasn't been that substantial over the years, except in the year 2020 and 2021. The guarantees are shown to you in gray. And with these guarantees, we were able to then raise debt, which supports our DMTN program, but that does come at a cost. Since 2008, with the level of debt that we are carrying, we've incurred an interest expense of about 3 billion rand over the period since 2008. So looking at the salary position, since 2016, we have been having liquidity challenges. And during that time, we then decided to centralize our salary payments. And here we were using clients' project-specific funds in order to subsidize other loss-making divisions within the DENEL group. In 2019, it was a year after, or less than a year after the new board was appointed in April 2018, a turnaround strategy was then implemented to look at restructuring and stabilizing DENEL. In 2019, we received a recap of 1.8 billion, which was used to settle legacy obligation and to try and implement a limited amount of restructuring. But a lot of that cash was not used to strengthen the balance sheet of DENEL. And here we were relying on the disposal of our property portfolio, some of our non-core businesses, and the conclusion of equity partnerships in order to strengthen the financial position of DENEL. In March 2020, we were affected by the lockdown. It had a significant impact on our operations. And as a result of that, we've had a significant decline in our productivity. And since May until July 2020, for that period of time, within which Solidarity and UASA, two of our recognized trade unions, took us to court, we were not able to pay full salaries. So we were able to pay employees the cash portion of their salaries on a sliding scale. We paid about 25% of our employees who were the lowest earning employee salaries. We paid them almost 100% of their salaries. And in terms of statutory employee contribution and third-party payments, here there were relief measures that were introduced with the COVID lockdown, and we were able to negotiate with them a deferred payment plan, and arrangements are in place to ensure we do comply with those arrangements. The interesting thing to point out, Chair, is that you will note that during this time, we did not implement any salary sacrifice nor short time to align with the reduced productivity levels. So in August, on the 4th of August 2020, UASA and Solidarity had their application heard by the Labour Court, and the Labour Court then ruled in favor of these two unions, whom I stated represent about 32% of our employees, ordering DENEL to pay the members of these unions the cash portion of their salaries and to pay all the deductions. We were required to make the payment within 7 days. As we were unable to honor that obligation, the applicants then took us to court to make an application for DENEL and its board of directors to be held in contempt of court. We then appeared in the Labour Court on the 3rd of December, and that was then postponed to the 28th of January, and I will touch on that briefly on the next slide. On the 16th of August, what we then did, Chair, is that we then introduced tighter financial controls where we've devolved authority to our operating divisions in order for them to meet the client's contracted obligations, because we were receiving clients' funds to execute these specific projects. As I stated earlier on, in the past, we were
We can pass. If Honorable Smith is still struggling, Honorable Klute.
Chair, thank you. I indicated on the chat I'm covered for now. Thank you. I'll just listen to the comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable.
Thanks, Chairman. You know, Chairman, it's probably time to be honest and blunt. We must be ashamed of ourselves. We must really be ashamed of ourselves and ask a question. How did we get here? Because if we don't ask that question and get answers, rest assured, we will be going in circles. DENEL was one of our best performing SOEs under the umbrella of public enterprises. Not so long ago, Chairman, probably 10, 12 years ago. And we need to ask a question, how did we get here? And I can tell the committee that no lender will give you money if he is not sure of whether he will be able to pay it back or not. Secondly, no lender will give you money if he thinks that you don't have adequate systems, you don't have adequate control and systems in your organization. Let's just forget. That's why CEO, they're asking for upfront payments, because you've got a weak balance sheet, you've got financial problems, you can't pay your debts, you can't pay your staff. And the question that has to be asked, how did we get here? If we had a company, a state-owned company that 10, 12 years ago was doing exceptionally well, a company that those years never approached Treasury for bailouts like SAA and others. And really, Chair, you know, it pains me. It really pains me. I'm saying this with a heavy heart. We are a skunk of the world. No lender will give you money if you don't take action against people who are accused of fraud and corruption. No lender. It's as simple as that. So until we ask that question and give ourselves, and not in a form of a commission, let's just forget about getting money from the markets. Chair, the CEO has told the committee that there has been slow progress in disposing loss-making entities or divisions within the company. Can he probably share with the committee which are those entities or divisions and why the slow progress in disposing them? Because this can only compound their situation. Why the slow progress? He also spoke about the 2019 turnaround strategy. And I do like to ask this question, Chair. Every strategy, Mr. Sadiq, must have key performance indicators. Every strategy every turnaround strategy has got to have pointers that tell you whether you are in the right direction or you have veered off track. How often do you guys refer to your new turnaround strategy? And insofar as the pointers in your strategy, how much work has been done and how much progress have you made so far? Do you think it will be a successful turnaround strategy? Because you will know as much as I do that SOEs have a habit of changing boards. When the new board comes, it comes with a new turnaround strategy. In no time, that strategy gets shelved, gathers dust in some boardroom, because there's now a new sheriff in town, there's a new board in town, in the company, which is not interested in their predecessor's turnaround strategy. So I would really want to check progress insofar as your new strategy is concerned. And what is I would want to get your pulse as to whether you're confident it will succeed, because to have a turnaround strategy and not implement it or check progress probably on a quarterly basis, on a month-to-month basis, depending on the intervals you choose, it's basically a futile exercise. So I would really want to pick your brain on that. Chairman, I would also want to ask, during these difficult times, financial difficult times at DENEL, do senior executives at DENEL take a salary knock? Do they still get their bonuses? And does the board of DENEL get paid their board fees as and when the board sits? Now, he mentions the Wolf-Easter project, which is DENEL's land system's biggest project. And in his presentation, he does suggest that there is a risk, or there are prospects of poor performance in that project. Now, I would want to ask Chef, what are the reasons for him to think that there are prospects of poor performance? If he gives us the reasons, can you also please give us a plan to mitigate those risks? Remember, this is their biggest project, DENEL Land Systems. This is the DENEL's Land Systems biggest project. And the last question, Chairman, DENEL's board chairperson, Ms. Montla Shlasha, is reported to have told the portfolio committee on public enterprises that Wolf-Easter project posed a biggest threat to DENEL's financial stability. And my question is, how is that possible? If your client has paid you upfront. How is it possible that somebody who brings business to you can pose a bigger threat to your financial stability? Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nana. Honorable Ngwenya. Can we pass to Honorable Mudise? Are you ready, Honorable Ngwenya?
Thanks, Chairperson. I'm ready.
Okay.
Thanks, Chair, and good morning, everybody. And Chairperson, I'd like to thank you for the presentation and the document that we've got on time. I've prepared 4 questions in terms of the presentation that have been presented right now. Chair, my question, I want what is the current status of the turnaround strategy, which was initiated by the new board in February 2019, which was aimed at establishing DENEL, and what worked and what did not work in terms of the implementation of the proposed strategy. The second question, can they give the current COVID-19 regulations in place? Which division at the DENEL have managed to restart their operation and meet their obligation? And which division are currently experiencing challenges which may be associated with insufficient workload? The third question, Chair, I want to know what is the nature of the DENEL legal representation, given the legal challenges in face. Is the legal team in the employee of DENEL, or is it being outsourced? And does DENEL has enough capital to compensate the legal team, give the current financial situation the entity currently faces? The last question, Chair, I want to know that is it there a latest feedback from Treasury in terms of the governance financial support to the entity, or in terms of a pilot from the state, what is the current status? I thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ngwenya. Honorable Mudise.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me greet the Honorable Chairperson and members and DM, the department, Chair and DENEL. Chair, you know, when I listen and read the presentation of the DENEL, it shows that from time to time, their financial is declining. I just want to check with, my question is, did they put a good, I know they have a strategy, but did they put a good systems in place to make sure that they get out of these challenges that they are facing? Because if your financial sheet and you are still having shortfall in your strategy, it's going to be a serious challenge. So I want to know about their good strategy to make sure that they get out of this. And then the second question, Chairperson, in all these things that happened to DENEL, I just want to check with them, did they involve law enforcement? And how far are they with the case? It's a second one. Chair, the other question is Did that one? I think it's a to the DM. DM, did you vet all the board members that are appointed last year, 2020 last year? Did you vet them? Thank you, Chair. Those are my questions. I'll come back again.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Let me just add some few remarks before we give to you, DM. All members have been talking about the turnaround strategy. I just want to check, is that strategy appealing to our customers? Have we aligned that strategy with the skills that we have? Is there no need to do restructuring in the skills that is there? In other words, out of the skills audit, if you have performed it, acting CEO and DM, what other skills do we need? What restructuring do we need in terms of the skills in the company? When workers are having challenges with the salaries, I want to put it in another way. Other members have asked it. What sacrifice have senior management and the directors done in order to mitigate? Because it can be workers that are getting the brunt while we don't hear what is happening at senior management level. The acting CEO put that we are losing high-tech skills. I've got a question in that regard to say, is our intellectual property still safe when when you are losing such high skills? I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying, but I'm sure DM will be understanding what I'm saying. Is our intellectual property as a country still safe? Because DENEL is engaged in a business that, if not carefully managed, it can compromise the security of our country. The last remark I can put, DM, is to say, what level of support do you receive from other departments in the security cluster? Is there a need for us as the committee to maybe, through your DM and DG, to call other departments just to check in the security cluster the support they are giving to DENEL? Because we can't expect entities to function when they don't receive support from us as government. Those will be my few remarks and questions for now. DM.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chair. May I request that, Honourable Chair, we allow first the entity, Sadiq and whomever will assist him. And I'm going to ask after them the Director General, Khathatso, to take a few. Then I can deal with the remainder of the questions that would not have been dealt with your permission, Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. My apologies, Chair. I hadn't recognized the chairman of the board who was on the call, and she is, our chair is here. So I'll just allow her to start the process of responding, and then we'll add. Thank you, Chair. Ms. Slashla.
Thank you very much, Interim CEO, for a good presentation. And thank you, Deputy Minister, for contextualizing it. And Honorable Chair of the committee, thank you very much for taking an interest to see and understand where DENEL is in terms of its financial challenges. I think the best way to contextualize the issue is to look at DENEL since 2014-15 and look at what had happened from then to today so that we can all comprehend why, when we resolve things slowly, there's a tendency for the problems to compound and they become bigger and bigger. And I think DENEL is a very good example, and a sad one for that matter, of a situation which over a number of years, either because no one could see the indicators properly, the liquidity challenges of DENEL were compounding. Some of the reasons for the compounding of DENEL's liquidity problem, which sits with us today, has been the fact that by its nature, DENEL depended on one client for many years. And that client being our Department of Defense, which all of us know that over the years, their budgets have been declining, and I think they've declined by 30% even today, which means over time, DENEL should have noted that the demand for work coming in from our own defense were diminishing over time. So you will see that their strategy began to be more and more export-led. However, there could have been shortcomings in dealing with that. Secondly, we note that DENEL, since 2012, with the Institute of Hoefyster primarily was the biggest program on DENEL's books. And when a program that big gets delayed year after year with redesigns, restructuring, and you can name it, to catch up on the costs, to catch up on the funding that you took upfront, becomes a bigger burden unless you had ring-fenced that funding and managed it appropriately. Unfortunately for DENEL, when we bought BAE Systems, Land Systems, which is now DVS, I think everybody would remember that. I think we purchased it at about 855 million rand. It became a cost that was bigger than what DENEL could afford in hindsight. And what started to happen along that trajectory of declining budgets for defense, a Hoefyster program that starts to drag and leads to some state capture issues with other companies being created. And you have a liability with the banks around the acquisition of a company, which you had expected to make you a lot of money, but instead does not make you money, and you do not get rid of it quickly. You start taking resources away from the core businesses to fund that liability. That happened over a number of years. It does catch up with you. And unfortunately for our board and our shareholder, where we came in, the reality was to understand how a great DENEL, which gave a platform to most of our technical and specialist engineers of this country, could come to such a situation where we cannot survive without capital injection from the state. What I was trying to summarize is that there has been a combination of elements that have led to the situation where you, honorable parliamentarians, have to inherit a scenario where a joint vision to rebuild this DENEL, I think, has been made. But all efforts have got to come to bear to realize that while the challenges have been there and not necessarily designed by yourselves, we should all believe that we can deal with the back of it, even if it will take us time, to recreate a DENEL, which will again rebuild, give a platform for our engineers, create exports for our country. But I would be lying to you if I said that the journey is not going to be as painful as you're seeing it today for a little while, until we can start to grow our revenues from the industrial base around the world that continues to need DENEL. And I think I should say that again and again. The fear of the market about DENEL has been about what will happen if we depend on them to deliver for us and they continue to take money from our project and use it to support their corporate challenges to finance the old debt that they have, and so on and so on. What we have done is remove all those loopholes where DENEL could do such a thing again, where project money can be utilized somewhere else. I can assure this committee and South Africans that some of those weaknesses of the past, which were generated probably out of desperation because of the challenges they were facing, we have stopped those. Secondly, what the CEO explained by division taking charge of their project income, their growth, to ensure that they can support their salaries and so on, has also been a very empowering thing for the divisions, that most of them have been able to start paying more of the salaries to meet the gap that was created after COVID and exacerbated by the fact that DENEL had divisions that had not been productive for many years. And I don't think we say that enough. Among our challenges, and depending on a big program called Hoof Easter, I think we also relaxed historically because some divisions had stopped using these critical skills that we had to produce anything. There are people probably in DENEL that have never done anything since they arrived, and it should not surprise any of us. With that background, however, Honorable Chair, I think we can still, unfortunately, the pain may be tough, but I believe the few little steps that we are taking, even around SEPs, somebody asked about strategic equity partners and to look at why we have not made as great a progress as we should have. I think some of the challenges have really just been when you're dealing with a company such as DENEL, where between the DPE and the Department of Defense, both of them have got to look at what kind of assets we think we need strategic equity partners in. On one level for the Defense Department, and rightfully so, they would say,
you, Chair. So to respond...
Just one, because there was an issue about board fees, and I'm sure you're going to try and answer that. There is no part of DENEL that has not experienced the austerity, and the highest knocks have been at the most senior levels. And it's never a very comforting thing for a chair to look at the executives and to look at the staff and to say that they have accepted to take the big knocks that they have experienced. The board too, they are only receiving a limited flat rate, and the normal rate for board fees is not available anymore for DENEL. And they've gone through months without any fees as well. And unfortunately, that has been part of trying to turn around the business of this nature, given where we found it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So to continue, one of the points was raised about our staff turnover, what has been the loss. So in total for the year to date from 1 April to now, our staff turnover has been around 16% in total. And of concern is that in our dynamics, our missile and UAV business, our staff turnover there was around 34%, which was way above the norm. In our sort of industry, between 5 and 10% is more, that's one would say is more reasonable. So this is a lot higher, and it does have an impact on our operations. Our year-to-date revenue is a lot lower, and the ability to rehire is constrained because we are not an attractive employer right now where we're not able to meet salaries. So that is a challenge we do have. In terms of the turnaround strategy that the board had implemented in 2009, there were 10 items, and included in there was the business value of our core business areas, strategic partnerships, our non-core business areas to exit them, to improve governance, to drive cost reduction, to optimize our property portfolio, to secure funding, to ensure skills and capability management, order intake, and restore our brand and employee morale. Looking back right now, you would see we haven't been able to achieve a lot of those goals that we've set for ourselves. We have made some progress in terms of exiting non-core businesses, where we're in the final stages of exiting DENEL Aerostructures, and also LMT, which was a business that was placed under business rescue. There are other activities within our control which we can exit. We are doing that. Our order intake is quite low, also our pipeline, and this is due to our current challenges. Our property portfolio, a number of our properties are classified as national key point. So we are engaging with the Department of Defense. One of the options we are looking at is to sell off some of our land to the Department of Defense, but they are under budgetary constraints as well. We are looking at relocating some of our businesses so that we will have properties that's not classified as a national key point to enable us to sell it. But the current economic climate is a challenge for us. We have made limited progress in improving governance. However, it's for the third year running that we've now seen we've received a disclaimer audit opinion by our Auditor General. And strategic partnerships, we haven't been able to deliver on that, as our chair did point out. So a couple of other points, our employee morale. You know, one of the reasons why we have employees leaving us, other than not paying them salaries, because that is a straw that breaks the camel's back, but we also haven't been able to offer them career paths. With the declining defense budget, as stated earlier on, I provided a brief overview of the DENEL capabilities. All of those capabilities were funded by the Department of Defense through their research and development budget. And that budget has decreased quite significantly. So we are not really involved in a number of R&D type projects. Our debt strategy, the DMT and note program That is government guaranteed debt, which our group CFO will talk to, and it is JSE listed. How did we get here? Clearly, poor program management has been an issue for us. The declining Department of Defense budget, state capture has been an issue, and also poor acquisitions or corporate actions or inefficient capital allocation. Around fraud and corruption, we are engaging with the SIU, the Commission on State Capture, led by Deputy Justice Zondo, and Hawks and the police. I did talk a bit about the loss-making businesses. Around Project Hoefyster, our chair has stated that the loss of Hoefyster will have a significant impact on DENEL. The reason being is that we've received over 2 billion rand in advance payment. So if we lose Hoefyster, then those monies will then become payable. We've also invested in inventory close to 1 billion rand worth of stock. And this talks to poor working capital management, but we have that stock and that would then need to be written off. And the impact on the South African defense industry, Project Hoefyster has been really good for us because on the back of Project Hoefyster, we were able to secure the largest export order for DENEL in Malaysia, which I'm pleased to say is going quite well. We are very pleased with the progress we are making with regard to that. On our legal teams, we do have an in-house legal team, and also we have a group of legal firms that are on our panel that we've selected based on criteria, and we do, we do utilize them in a fairly transparent process. Around KPIs for our strategy, with regard to going there, with the devolvement of authority to our divisions, we've now set up divisional ExCo meetings that meet on a monthly basis where we track the performance of these companies. We look at their revenue, we look at their business development order pipeline. We are busy finalizing our performance management contracts to start in the new year. We've just, during the year, we've put in place our performance management contracts for our employees. We hadn't had them in place to the extent we would have liked them, but that's now in place and it would improve further on. So there are KPIs that we track. We are in our corporate planning process, and then we will be reviewing our performance. Around the DENEL Next strategy, as I stated, we've now put together 8 work streams. Each of those work streams are led by members of the executive committee of DENEL, and the 8 very briefly relates to brand and stakeholder management, leadership accountability and execution, effective alliance and partners, customers, markets and revenue diversification, looking at our differentiating products and to provide solutions to our clients, looking at quality and operational excellence, high performance talent management, and then lastly and importantly, our financial sustainability. So we have got each of our executives leading each one of these, and we are in the process of establishing a work plan, the project approach, and also the KPIs on which we will, no doubt our board will measure our performance. As our chair pointed out, everyone in the organization has been impacted by the salary reductions. And, unfortunately at this stage, with us not paying the salaries, they still are due and payable. And that's something we are busy in negotiating with organized labor and our employees to see whether we could then implement it as a salary sacrifice. So to the extent possible, we will not need to catch up the amount. The reason why the Solidarity and UASA took us to court is because we're unable to pay their full salaries. And in light of the lower productivity levels, that had an impact. Chair, I want to pause there. I will allow our CFO to come on, Carmen Lagrange, and then I will come back at the end as I go through the list of questions. Carmen?
Thank you, Talib, and thank you to the honourable members for the opportunity to present. I think it's important to state before I answer some of the questions raised by some of the members. it's to deal with the question around our weak balance sheets. And in the presentation that we had prepared for you, we had on page 10 of that presentation showed you the level of government financial support that DENEL had received to date. So we did a 15-year view of that, and we show you that apart from funding that was received early in 2007, which was a 1.8 billion and a 700 million for the Rooivalk, the only other time we received good recap was in 2013, where we received about 700 million for the restructure of aerostructures in terms of the Airbus, the A400M program. And then we received again good recap in the 2020 year, being in July 2019. We received the money on the 31st of August, 1.8 million, and then the 576 million, which falls into this financial year 2021. And with that recap, that totaled the 2.376 billion. So over a 15-year period, one of the honorable members, Schlanchler, rightly says that DENEL hasn't been one of those entities that has constantly gone to Treasury looking for money. And the points I wanted to highlight around that, it is very difficult for the banks to lend DENEL money. And in fact, how DENEL has funded its programs has been through guarantees that we get from the banks. And so the point that I wanted to make was around the fact that DENEL has a very weak balance sheet. We've funded our operations and we funded the business with debt instead of equity. And as a consequence of funding it with debt instead of equity, there's a number of things that we need to pay. One of those things being interest. So if you look on page 8 of our slides, you'll notice that we did a 5-year analysis in trying to also understand what had happened to DENEL over the years. And for the 5 years from 2015-16 to 19-20, we've paid 1.7 billion rand in interest to the banks. That 1.7 billion, and then the projection is 241 million for 2021, which gives me 1.9 billion over 6 years. That money could have been used to give back into the state coffers, but instead we have to give that money to our lenders group in RMB, ABSA, and Nedbank. And that money as well excludes costs that one pays for keeping the listing on the debt market, which you must pay sponsor fees, project fees, legal fees, etc., to maintain the listing. So I thought it is important to highlight that. Then in terms of this weak balance sheet that we have, some of the mitigating actions we've reported on previously is we've gone to the banks, we've tried to ring fence those programs that we believe will be cash generative for DENEL, because we believe that they have long-term economic multiplier effects. And we've gone and we've looked internationally and said, which are those programs that can be saved, as well as locally, which are those programs that can be saved. And I think to answer the Honorable Arnold's question is to say, how do you dig yourself out of this hole? And the answer must be to say that if one looks at our aerospace and defense master plan, one of the most practical ways is to look at those programs and see how we can get the rest of our industry to support us in delivering on those programs, because they are signed purchase order and we need to deliver on those programs. So, you know, invoking public-private partnership solutions, negotiating with suppliers, where in the past we've just accepted fixed cost CVOs and not negotiated in terms of concomitant costs with design changes. Those are some of the things that I think practically we need to do as a company to emerge as a reformed DENEL. Also negotiating holiday for penalties from Armscor, which is within our cluster. That would certainly go a long way towards helping DENEL become more cash generative. And then thirdly, and this is something that we don't see on DENEL's balance sheet, is the IP. And we know that the value of DENEL rests in its IP, and hence the need to look for strategic equity partnerships. And so we've never ever put a value of that IP onto the DENEL balance sheet, but there's certainly value that sits there. And certainly one of the things we must look at is how do we begin to exploit and further develop and enhance that IP in a sustainable way that will add value to both the company and to the country as a whole. And then I want to just address, you know, just in closing, the non-core assets that Talib has referred to. In April 2018, when our board took over, you know, DENEL, we have that strategy in place. The strategy hasn't changed. They still reduce the cost structure, the bloated cost structure. We still have find SCPs to help us bring value back to DENEL. And there is the issue around the threat of Hoefyster and how do we negotiate that so we get to a point where we are able to deliver it at least in a break even or even in a profitable way and contribute towards the industry. And then thirdly, to strengthen this balance sheet. And so just in terms of my concluding remarks on strengthening the balance sheet, I think that the amount of interest and the debt burden that DENEL continues to experience is truly unsustainable. We really need our partners and our stakeholders to give us some kind of relief in terms of the structure of that debt, like I spoke about earlier on. And I think that the board has been assessing the implementation of the strategy. However, some of those implementation items require, you know, support in terms of financing, for example, voluntary service packages to reduce the cost structure, as well as ensuring that we're able to use cash that we do have more productively, but not paying so much interest. And those are some of the things, I think, to answer the interim CEO's question, are some of the things that will help DENEL in terms of emerging in a new form with a business model that will work for it going forward. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, CFO. So a couple of outstanding points that I would like to close before I hand over to our Chair, Ms. Slashla. The IP security issue, I think that is a key concern for us, especially the exploitation of these IPs. There has been some hotline reports which we have investigated. When we do investigate them, we investigate them you know, together with the department, with the Defense Intelligence and also with Arms Corps Intelligence. Many of our employees that are leaving us, these are highly expert individuals, very knowledgeable, so they have the information in their heads, and that's why they are marketable, and many of them are leaving South Africa regrettably. So they're not just leaving DENEL, they're leaving our country. So here we are in discussions also with the National Proliferation Committee as well. Around how do we go forward, you know, we did make the point about some of the matters that the board is looking at. The need for a recapitalization is quite key for stability and to strengthen our balance sheet. We need to look at our disposals, and we need to drive industrialization and to be globally competitive, to look at how we can become more efficient. There are some options that we are looking at, and hopefully we would make progress on that. The alignment of our key stakeholders towards the success of DENEL, quite key for our sustainability and growth, not just for DENEL and the defense industry, but for the broader South Africa, and also to meet the aspirations of our president, where we would like to grow our economy by over 3% per annum. And for that, we need these technical skills, and we need DENEL to successfully execute on its DENEL Next strategy. Thank you, Chair. I'll now hand over to Ms. Slashla to make some closing comments.
I think we've responded to the extent possible, and we'll comment on any other issues that might arise thereafter, Ramatibe. Maybe just one concluding remark from me would be that sometimes we've got to pull all of our energies to fight for the best for our future. And DENEL is one of those that every effort we can all pull together in alignment will give our future engineers, our kids, the opportunity to go and deliver on their dreams right here in South Africa, right here in the defense industry. I do believe it is worth a fight. It may be painful in the beginning, but it's worth it. I think we should keep trying. In the end, a DENEL that is commercial allows us to dream a little bit more and to give value for our people and our country. Thank you. Deputy Minister.
Chair, I think a mouthful. I think a mouthful has been said. Maybe we should revert back to the committee, Chair. I note there was a question asked in respect of vetting of board members. I would just like to say, as a matter of rule, we endeavor all the time to appoint into our boards people of good standing, of repute, high repute, and to the extent the necessary checks get to be done. And as far as I can recall, we have people whose integrity is beyond question in this board in question. And I may also just add that it's indeed true that, as the minister would say, everybody has to take a haircut. The board has been taking cuts. It's not business as usual. So is management at the high level, given the challenges that the institution is facing. I'll hold there for now, Chair, and take guidance from yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, DM. Can I check with members if we have got members who have got follow-up question? Honorable Nana.
Well, thanks, Chair. And I'm sorry for not switching on my video. My bandwidth is quite unstable. Chair, firstly, to the CFO, I am not inclined, but I'm Nana. It's NHA. Secondly, Chair, I would want to suggest that at the time you deem fit, we should invite DENEL back to the committee and get a thorough briefing, Chair, about their turnaround strategy. I do think today we glanced over it, and to me it's actually a very important document because it talks to the life of this company. So I would want to make that proposal, and it's as you know, it's really your call, Chairman, whether that will happen or not. The one issue that really bothers me in the question I asked about reasons to think that there are prospects of poor performance. And I know the chairperson of the board tried to respond to it, so is Mr. Sadiq. But I did not really get a plan. Now that they have identified prospects of risk, what is the plan? Is there a plan? Is there a plan to mitigate that risk in an event their suspicions are becoming a reality? No problem, CFO. Your apology accepted. I don't really get a concrete answer in that regard, because, Chairman, a plan has been, sniffed out that there's a possible risk. Now we need, as a committee, we need a comfort to know that the board and the senior executives at DENEL are doing everything they can to mitigate the risk in prospect. And what is the plan? Is their plan? Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nana. I think the CFO was mistaking your surname with the board chair, Klasha, because they are almost.
Yeah, it's possible. It is possible, Chair.
They almost look like it's just the H and the L difference.
Even I thought I discovered a new Shasha today.
Yeah, Chairperson, the status report in terms of the disciplinary hearings, I think they can also put it maybe for us in writing. A report in that regard. Thanks.
All right. Do we have any other follow-up? I think we don't seem to have for now. And also, board chair, the issue around litigation, I couldn't hear response. I think we can also put that in writing. And the proposal by Honorable Nana is well received. I think
yes.
we might need a lot of time to come and dissect your turnaround strategy together with us, because it is in the interest of the committee as well as in your interest that we all assist each other to rescue the DENEL, and also in the interest of our country. We think we might need a lot of time to come and dissect that together with your strategy and how you think you can re-engineer, reskill the skills that you have there at DENEL to speak to your strategy as well. I think we'll look into that, and those that we have not responded to, we'll look into the question. You will liaise with our secretariat just to check which are the areas where the questions were not fully responded to, and put them in writing and bring them back to our committee. But in terms of you coming back, it's obvious we're gonna need you back to come and dissect on the strategy, so that as a committee we have first-hand information of what is going to be done and how we think we can look and do oversight on your strategy, board chair together with the DM. We can allow you to have some few remarks before we give back to the DM to have final remarks, and then we can release you.
Thank you very much, Ramatibe. We welcome an invitation to take the committee through our turnaround strategy. I also thought it's very important for me to say that the most immediate critical response for all of us is how to stop the bleeding in terms of the liquidity challenges for DENEL. So all of our dreams about a future DENEL, about retraining and reattracting back of the technical skills that we might have lost, will only happen on the basis of just a stable financial situation on DENEL. So even when we come back and we present the strategy, you will see that the core issue for the current board is how to break the back of the bleeding due to lack of cash, so that all of our dreams can have something that will back the future properly. We welcome the invitation, and through the DPE, we will work very closely, guided by the Deputy Minister, to come and engage with you and receive your input. Thank you very much.
DM?
No, thank you, Chair, and thanks to the honourable members again. Thanks to the Chair of the board and the team. Surely it will do the committee and all of us good if we are on the same wavelength in respect of where the entity is going or should be going. From the point of view of the department, we are firmly of the view that it's urgent that the plan speaks to the challenges that present themselves to date, and that nothing short of some form of recapitalization is necessary to give life to that vision going forward. We have tended for a very long time to remain in a paradigm where we were providing for in-house needs, so to speak, predominantly being of service to the South African Defence Force and being seen as part of looking after the sovereign capabilities. But a company has got to exist beyond such confines. It's got to be competitive in terms of the market. We've got to look at the continent. We've got to look beyond the continent in terms of future markets, in terms of the capabilities that have been developed over time in the company. So we are almost of the same mind with the board insofar as that we just need to ensure that it is then supported by the capacity at strategic leadership level to take us in that direction. But Chair, thank you very much. We're happy to come back together with DENEL to share deeper insofar as that turnaround plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You are released DM and DG, and as well as the DENEL will remain here as the committee to finalize our own logistics.
Goodbye.
Thank you,
Bye,
Chair. Thank you,
Bob,
members. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thanks, Chair.
Secretary.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, we've got 3 sets of minutes to be adopted. The first one is, I think, the 25th of November. If I can just ask Barbara to please flight those minutes.
You have sent us those minutes.
Yes, we have. We have, Chair.
No, we can't waste time by flighting. Honorable members received those minutes. I saw them. I'll just check. Let's start with the one on the 25th of November to check if there are any corrections, honorable members. If none, we are presenting the minutes of the 25th of November to the committee to engage.
Chairperson.
Honorable Bibi.
Can I move for the adoption of those minutes? Thank you.
Honorable Bibi moves for the adoption of the minutes. Any seconder?
Chairperson, I second the minutes.
Honorable Ngwenya seconds.
Are you in? Sorry, Chair. Ma'am Ngwenya, are you in that meeting? That was the 20th November.
The secretary, can you check Ma'am Winnie was there? I think there was one meeting where she wasn't.
Yeah, but if she was not, she was in third, seconded.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. The second set of minutes.
Thanks, ma'am.
Secretary, the second set of minutes.
Yes, the second set of minutes is the minutes for the 3rd of February, Chairperson.
The minutes of the 3rd of February, we present to the committee members?
Chair,
You are muted, Honorable Mdise. Can you unmute yourself?
oh, okay. Chairperson, I've checked the minutes. Even when I was not well, but it was a true reflection of what we have discussed in the meeting. I move for adoption.
Honorable Mdise moves for the adoption. Any secondment?
I second, Chairperson.
Is seconded. The last set of minutes.
Yes,
Third.
Chair. Yes, Chair. The last set of minutes is for the 10th of February.
The last set of minutes is the minutes on the 10th of February. We present those minutes, honorable members.
Chairperson, I move for the adoption of those minutes.
Honorable Bibi moves.
I second, Ma'am Bibi.
And is seconded. Thank you very much, honorable members. Acting Secretary, do we have any other thing for now?
No, Chair. It's just the adoption of the minutes.
Okay, thank you very much, honorable members, and we can prepare ourselves for the afternoon session of the reply.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Nana. I was looking for you before we start the meeting. I couldn't get you. I said I want to visit that municipality you speak about a lot. You must take me there.
You must come in a
chocolate.
I need to come and visit.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Now, from 1.6 to 2 million.
Yeah?
From 1.6 to 2 million.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Chair.
Bye-bye, Dr. Nana. Bye, Chair. Bye, Chair.
Mm.